And we welcome you into the Handycast for Monday, May the 19th. I'm Charles Hanagriff, along with former Tiger coach Dan Canevari, former Tiger pitcher Doug Thompson. And we're brought to you by Marucci. From a backyard shed to the top of the game, Marucci is more than just a baseball bat company, a legacy built on passion and precision. With 2 decades of crafting the finest wood, metal, and leather in the sport, here to help you run the game. Visit MarucciSports.com to gear up with the best. And guys, as I welcome you in here, and we're going to have Doug on audio only today, but I got a chance to tour for the first time the entire revamped Marucci facility last week. And I got to tell you, it is just so impressive from where we are on the hitter's house and, the museum that is opening up this fall, this summer, that will kind of timeline the birth of Marucci from Jack Marucci's backyard shed all the way through where they are now, which is the most powerful baseball bat company and apparel company in the world. So kudos to our friends over at Marucci Sports. Dan, how you doing?
Doing great, Charlie. Weekend of baseball all around. It's the season. 'Tis the season.
Yeah, Doug, how are you?
Same deal. You guys don't know anybody who watches more baseball than me. It's that easy. I was there yesterday from 8 to 11 and the day before, similar hours. It's great though. Blessed to be able to do it. But yep, lots of baseball this time of year.
The regular season is over. LSU takes 2 out of 3 from South Carolina. I'm going to get to the baseball part of this in a second, to the games, but I want to talk about where LSU is. Everybody's interested in, are they a top 8 national seed? And right now, our friends over at D1 Baseball have them as a number 7 seed overall. They are ranked the number 1 team in the country in the polls. And fellas, I got to tell you, I'm going to get your thoughts on this before I run through some numbers. At 19 and 11 in the SEC, I could probably stop the argument right there, because no team has won 19 games under this configuration of 30-game schedule and not been a top 8 national seed since we went to this format. Dan, I'm going to drive you crazy because I'm going to go into more depth on these numbers. I know this is your favorite part of the deal, but if you just say at the beginning of the season, if you didn't know anything else, no other context, you just say LSU went 19 and 11 in the SEC, wouldn't you think that would be enough to be a top 8 national seed?
I agree 100%. And again, when I was coaching, Doug was playing, the number Skip always said is 20. If you're 20 and 10, you should be a top 1 or 2 seed in the country. And I think it's the toughest league in the country. I don't think anybody can dispute that. And to have 19 wins in that league with the depth of the league, especially now adding Texas and Oklahoma, it's a heck of a thing.
Doug?
Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, other than Texas, who's ahead of LSU? Who are the other 6 seeds
Arkansas.
ahead of LSU?
Yeah. Arkansas is finished second in the league. They had 20 wins. And then Vanderbilt and LSU finished tied for third, but LSU got the number 3 seed in the SEC tournament on the tiebreaker because they didn't play this year. So this is common opponents in these. And so those 3 teams are ahead of LSU in these projections, as are North Carolina, who finished second in the ACC, but won 2 of 3 against Florida State, who's also nationally ranked this past weekend. Georgia, who's the number 1 RPI team in the country, and Auburn, who finished number 2 in the country in RPI, is number 6, and LSU is number 7. Oregon, out of the Big Ten, is number 8. So my thought is this: you hear 7 seed, and by the way, these are just projections. These are not the LSU's RPI is number 8. These are just projections, so this is not exactly what the committee is going to do for sure. It's just what D1 Baseball and Kendall Rogers and those guys do a great job of projecting this stuff. So you think, well, man, look, 7 doesn't leave you a whole lot of wiggle room. I think it does. I think it does, because the teams that are behind LSU that could potentially take over that spot, I don't see a mathematical way that they could get 2 more teams into this top 8 and not include LSU. I don't think that there are 8 teams that could post a better record than LSU, regardless of who wins the SEC tournament or the ACC tournament. And here's my argument, okay? The 9 seed here is Oregon State. Oregon State operated as an independent this year. They have fewer Q1 wins than LSU. They have a slightly worse strength of schedule than LSU, a slightly higher RPI. But here's the thing: Oregon State's done playing. They don't have anything else to add to their resume, so there's no way that they can catch LSU in Q1 wins. And I don't see where they're going to be able to have this resume hold up and get a top 8 ahead of LSU. Now, they may be at top 8 with LSU, but I don't think they can get one ahead of LSU. Coastal Carolina's had a heck of a deal. They're going to win the Sun Belt by 4 games, but their Q1 wins, and this is Q1 wins. This is top 30 at home, 30 to I think it's 59 or 60 at on the road. Just Q1 wins. Coastal Carolina's got 4. LSU's got 13. I don't see where they can catch them. Florida State, maybe. They're at number 11. They've got 12 Q1 wins, and they could win the ACC tournament. They're good enough to do that. That would be one team. Clemson at number 12 is another team. If they got hot and won the ACC tournament, maybe they jump in. But both of them can't win it. And after that, you get down to UCLA and Southern Miss and TCU and Georgia Tech, all of whom have inferior either records, RPIs, Q1 wins, strength of schedule. In other words, it almost doesn't matter to me anyway. I'm not on the committee, but I don't see a mathematical way. All of these teams can't add wins without losses in these conference tournaments. So worst case scenario, LSU plays the lowest seeded team that they could play on Friday, which would be Texas A&M if they were able to come through and win 2 games. I still think there's no way that they can miss. So that's my 2 cents on the top 8 national seeds right now. I just don't think there are 8 teams that can put a better overall resume together. And if I were to quibble, I would say there may be 1 or 2 spots too low in this projection at 7, but it's close. So I think they're in. I think they're in, guys. I'll hear rebuttal arguments, but that's what I think right now. Dan?
Charlie, I'm going with the old ball coach look at it, okay? I think for LSU, you win 1 game in the SEC tournament, and it's a done deal. I don't think they can fight it. The other thing, when Skip Bertman was the athletic director, he was the head of the selection committee, and he always said they put everybody on the board and they do all the rankings and everything, but the bottom line is, how'd you play at the end of the year when you were in conference play? The SEC always carries a lot more weight when you're talking about that. Who's hot? Who's playing well right now? And I think LSU has all those things in their corner. So, win a game in the SEC tournament, you could lose the second one, you'll be a top 8 seed, the way they sit right now.
Doug?
Yeah, Charlie, I think you're spot on. An 8 RPI, 13 Q1 wins. You're ranked number 1 in the country, 3rd in the SEC. I think LSU has done plenty. I think that you're right. I don't think anybody else. I don't think there's enough highway left for anybody else to do enough damage to surpass them. And I would really be shocked if LSU didn't end up as a top 8 seed, no matter what happens from here on out.
And by the way, Dan, I got to bring this up. And I've talked with Skip about this, and I've talked with committee members when we've done the Q&As afterwards. I hate that they're hot and they're playing well at the end of the season thing, because I don't think it should matter when you play people. I think it should matter who you play. And I'll just give you an example. There's a big difference this week between playing Arkansas and playing Missouri. Or playing South Carolina and playing Texas, So if you're hot at the end of the season, that's fine. But the games in March count too. That's kind of my deal on
and
it.
I think that's where the RPI comes into play.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of RPI, but that's where it comes into play. That's kind of the balancing trick to make sure that doesn't happen. But again, that's the way people think. And Charlie, and I know Doug knows this. The SEC tournament and the NCAA, it's about putting out the best, most watchable, most ticket-selling teams in the tournament.
Yeah, this is still a business.
It's still a business.
If you will. We're brought to you by Bayou Apparel. If you're looking for anything LSU, go to everythinglsu.com, made by locals. Shipping from Baton Rouge, the highest quality products to showcase your brand, whether it's an established one or a new one. They create eye-catching designs that fit your company's message, logos, event T-shirts, and promotional items for your business. Call 225-928-9090 or go to the website at everythinglsu.com. All right, let's talk about this SEC tournament where LSU will play. The first game tomorrow is between Texas A&M and Missouri, or excuse me, the last game of Tuesday is Texas A&M and Mississippi State. The winner of that gets Auburn, and the winner of that gets LSU on Friday night. So, Dan, LSU is the last team to take the field in this tournament. They'll have to get to see everybody else play. But what I like about this the best is it's all single elimination, meaning that with the double bye, LSU will play at most 3 games. So this looks like a regular 3-game series. It's not some of these SEC tournaments of years past where maybe if you got on a winning streak, you had to play 5 games in 6 days or something like that. So I like this. And how might LSU approach the pitching for a tournament that could be 1 game, 2 games, or 3 games?
Well, I like where LSU sits, and I like the way it lays out. And the bottom line is, I know Jay Johnson. He wants to win every game, and he should. I mean, that's part of the deal. He's real big on keeping his pitchers in a regular order. So the bottom line is, I like the fact that you're going to play somebody where they've got their 3 or 4 pitcher going, and we got Cade Anderson. So I think that really changes everything. And I think that's advantage LSU. Then if you win that game, you go to your second game, and you got Ianson going against somebody's number 5.
Yeah, it really does set up well for the teams with the bye. Doug, as a starting pitcher, let me ask you about how you would want to be handled. I'm thinking back to 2 years ago when LSU had a national seed locked up going to the SEC tournament, and Jay Johnson threw Paul Skeens in the first game, but he got him out after, I want to say it was 85 pitches. So or would you expect something similar with Anderson on Friday, if he throws Anderson on Friday, to say, hey, listen, we're going to get you out, we're going to get you some work, but we're not going to extend you at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all situational, but yeah, I wouldn't expect to see him go much past 100 pitches on Friday. I think, and I'm agreeing with Cano, the playing on the weekend and not having to disrupt your pitching order is a huge bonus. And to have those matchups will also be advantageous for LSU. But I think it depends on the situation. I think it'll be, how many pitches is he at going into the 7th, and what's the score? If he's at 85 and it's a 1-run game, I think he goes out for the 7th inning. If he's at 103 and we're up by 5, I think he's done. Like, so it'll matter, kind of the situation, because I do think that, like Cano said, LSU definitely wants to win the game. But in terms of him going out there and getting 115, 120 pitches, I do not see that happening. I don't think it's that big of a must-win situation.
All right, let me ask, let's do this from a worst case scenario. Doug, I'll start with you. Let's say, assume a worst case scenario, LSU goes out and loses the first game. Anderson and maybe 1 reliever throws in the game, and nobody else gets to pitch, meaning that there'll be about a 2-week gap between the final games of the regular season and the regional. How big of it? You get the rest, but you worry about the rust. Doug, how does that affect the pitching staff if they go 1 and out here?
Well, I mean, you'll do the controlled scrimmages and inter squads, and they'll face plenty live batters, and the same thing for the hitters. They'll see plenty live pitching. You'll pitch guys on the day of their rest. So if LSU were off the next Friday, Cade Anderson would throw that Friday. Why do you say 2 weeks? I'm just curious. If they
Well,
lose
if
one,
okay,
oh, you mean since Ianson would have thrown, it'd be 2 weeks. Gotcha. Cade
yeah,
Anderson would be
yeah,
fine. Yeah. So
right, and
Ianson, when they get back to Baton Rouge Saturday, Ianson would probably throw to 4 innings worth of pitches, or 5 innings, up to 100 pitches against live hitters. And that's really all you can do. You can't scrimmage other teams, but that's how they'll show up. It's just their rotation and keep everything as normal as possible, including the number of pitches he throws and on what days he throws.
Dan, you've done this both ways, where the team won the SEC tournament or where they didn't. So, what? How would you balance it? Going into that middle weekend, I guess.
Yeah, if it goes like that, like Doug said, you're going to go with the controlled scrimmage, probably playing inter squad. But if you play controlled scrimmage, you want to get your guys at bats, just like they're in a game against quality pitching. I don't think you get any better than an inter squad game at LSU. And the guys that haven't been playing a lot, that are going to be on the postseason roster. You want to get them at bats, especially more at bats, because they haven't gotten a lot against quality pitching. So you have your whole team ready. So in a way, it may be advantageous to do that. In the fact that you get more work done, and it's kind of like less pressure packed work, and maybe you can make some adjustments and do some things, try some things in an inter squad or controlled scrimmage that yet wouldn't do in a real gotta win ball game. So, you look at it both ways. The bottom line is all three starting pitchers, and right now it looks like 7 pitchers. You got to really get some work in, either live in the games in the SEC tournament or inter squad and controlled inter squad right through Sunday. So I think Doug's right on it. I think that's what's going to happen one way or the other. It'd be nice if they played 3 ball games, held everybody to 85 pitches, and had a little pitch off out of the bullpen and see if somebody can come through in the SEC tournament and add to that bullpen staff that we need a little depth in.
We're brought to you by Dependable Storage with 8 locations across Louisiana and 1 in Gulfport, Mississippi. They'll match any competitor's pricing, offer convenient online rentals and payments, and offer free use of the moving truck for new rental move-ins. Clean, secure, and conveniently located facilities. Check out the website at dependablestorage.com for locations, pricing, and rentals. And like Skip Bertman says, at Dependable Storage, we want your stuff. I want to go back to Thursday night's game and get this from both perspectives, kind of, because it was a good news, bad news situation, I thought, for LSU. The bad news was that Connor Ware once again struggled with his control. He walked 4 in just an inning and change. He didn't allow any hits, but he walked 4. And I thought that Zach Cowan, for the 3rd time, maybe in 4 outings, was a little bit shaky on the back end, giving up 3 runs. On the other hand, I thought Jaden Newt was fantastic, and I think he's really started to come on here. And looking at the numbers from just Southeastern Conference play, Jaden Newt's ERA in SEC play is now under 3. Now, he's only thrown a little over 9 innings, but that's still a really good number. And I also thought Chase Shores started to, he's pitched well. I think the last 3 or 4 times he threw 2 shutout innings. So, Dan, I'll start with you. Any of those guys that you want to talk about, either the ones that pitched well, or the ones that didn't?
Tell you what, I think Jay saw something he liked there. I agree with you. I think Newt has made his move to get in that, as Doug and I have talked about, 6 or 7 man group that you need for the postseason. And I think first of all, Newt has moved into being an out eater in the middle of the game. He can bridge from the starter and get you into the closer area. I think he's done well. He might even emerge as the 3rd guy as a starter, because he could throw some pitches around the plate. The fact that he didn't walk anybody and struck out 5 in 4 innings shows me he's got the stuff and he's around the plate. He showed a lot of poise, so I really like that. I think Chase Shores has kind of not maybe reinvented himself, but moved himself up in helping the team win by being a short guy out of the pen. And I think that's big for Jay Johnson, because he did it twice over the weekend. And so he's making a move in that short, role. So if you look at it, in my opinion, I think you got 6 guys now you can count on. I do want to mention this. One thing that may happen this weekend is you may not see Zach Cowan pitch. I think, like you said, 3 out of the last 4 outings, he's been a little down on what his earlier production was. He might be getting a little tired coming back. Used to being a starter, but he's been pitching a lot in relief a couple times on a weekend. You may see him back off Zach Cowan and let him catch up and get some work in on the side and go for it that way.
Doug, your thoughts about Cowan, Newt, Shores, and Ware?
Yeah, first of all, Cal, the league has made some adjustments, and he's not quite as sharp. So I wouldn't hate that, actually, but I think he's a big part of the future success of this season for sure. And I agree. I think Newt and Chase Shores have quote unquote graduated. And I'm sure Jay Johnson's doing it in his own way. But I think one of the important things about that graduation is the psychology of Coach Bertman actually acknowledging, or that coach acknowledging, that you're one of his guys now, that you've proven it, that you've earned one of those spots. Because for a player, knowing that your coach believes in you is a huge piece of being able to go out there and perform So I'm sure that Jay, just simply putting them in the situations he's put them in is kind of an indication. But I'm with you, Cano. I think that we're up to 6 guys now that can go out there and eat up some outs.
And I'm going to add this in, Charlie. And I think a guy, and I've been pushing this all year, I think a guy trying to move into the 7 hole seems to be Cooper Williams, who pitched pretty well this weekend.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good.
And it's a lefty bat. They brought in the Saturday game. I believe it was Maverick Rizzi to face the one right-hander. He got the right-hander out. There were 3 lefties to come up, and then it was Cooper Williams after that. So I agree with you. I think that you got a real good shot to see some more of him. When we get into the tournament. We're brought to you by Lake Urgent Care. 25 years of experience dedicated to providing quality care close to home. Treat minor illnesses and injuries for ages 3 months and up. 17 convenient locations: Baton Rouge, Hammond, Livingston, and Ascension Parish, plus occupational health and weight loss solutions. As a extension of Our Lady of the Lake, patients can access care from anywhere with the MyChart patient portal. Our urgent care centers are open 7 days a week. Simply walk in, check in online, or schedule a virtual care visit at lakeurgentcare.com. I want to ask Doug about Anthony Ianson's outing on Saturday. Doug, Ianson has been lights out for a month, and you look at his pitching line here, it looks pretty good. He gave up 2 runs in 7 innings. That's a quality start every day of the week and twice on the Saturday. But he, by his own admission, said he didn't have his best stuff. He battled through. Man, look, I saw Aaron Nola once, the great Aaron Nola, give up 5 runs in a regional first inning and battle through it. They were unearned. But you can talk a little bit about this time of year trying to fight through, and how impressive was that to you that Ianson was able to battle through what were some rough first couple of innings before he kind of settled in?
Well, I think that's a key, and it's a must attribute for a starting pitcher to have, because Ken will tell you, I mean, rarely do you go out there and have all your stuff. And part of pitching is figuring out how to still get outs when you don't feel the same command, or you don't have the same life in your fastball. Your curveball's not quite breaking as sharp as it normally does. So for him to say that, is an indicator to me that he's a starting pitcher. Like he's really evolving into a pitcher able to go out there without his best stuff in that league and still win. And like you said, compete with a dang good line. 7 innings pitched, 2 runs in the SEC. I don't care who you're playing, but if it's on the road, that's a hell of a start. So that's what that tells me, Charlie, is that he's really becoming a pitcher, and going out there being able to win on the road without his good stuff is all you really want to hear.
Last week, I asked you guys about Jared Jones. Said he'd been struggling a little bit. He struck out 8 times in the series against Arkansas, was scuffling a little bit of it. I think he was 2 of 13. We talked about the potential of, even just for a game or so, maybe 2, dropping him in the lineup. Both of you guys said, no, leave him right where he's at. He'll be fine. As usual, you guys were right, and I was, off spiffballing somewhere. Jones was 6 for 13 this weekend. He hit 3 homers. He drove in 5. And maybe as important as anything, he only struck out twice. Any adjustments you guys saw him make? It appeared, this is just from the layman, that he was chasing a lot of high fastballs, but this weekend that was not the case. Dan?
Again, I think it's approach and discipline in the approach. And I think, Jay and Mark, the big chief, had a lot to do with that. Showed him some film, looked at his numbers, looked at, where he was making the outs from, and probably really try to hone in on his mental approach, take the pressure off himself, stop trying to do everything, just have good at-bat, one pitch at a time. And again, a lot of that is just refocusing and getting ready for the end of the year. And you basically have a new season coming up, starting with the SEC tournament. So kudos to the coaches. I think they had a lot to do with that.
One more time, we tell you we're brought to you by the law offices of O.C. Brown. Dana Brown and his team of attorneys for the last 30 years have helped us out on a number of occasions, whether you've been in a car accident, if you have other legal issues. The law offices of O.C. Brown should be your first and only call. Truly your law firm for a lifetime, and that first consultation is always free. Call them at 225-343-1111. 225-343-1111, and on the web at ossiebrown.com. Now, you guys are both pitching guys, so you'll appreciate this stat. I've been holding this one for a while, because I can honestly say I've never seen this covering college baseball. Usually, 982 will lead the league in fielding percentage. 982, 983. That's pretty good. LSU ends up in 30 SEC games fielding 984. Stephen Milam, who started every game at short, Daniel Dickinson, who started every game at second, and Michael Braswell, who started most of the games at third, combined to make 4 errors in 30 games. This is your second baseman, your shortstop, and your third baseman. Doug, I know as a pitcher, you would appreciate that kind of defense, man. That is elite level stuff, and I wanted to bring that up today. I've been, like I said, I've been holding that stat. I wanted to get to the end of the year and see where it held up historically. I think that's number one in my book as far as college infielders in the SEC.
I mean, that's almost unheard of. Those numbers, 4 errors between them, or they
Yes.
each had 4 errors.
No, combined.
Oh my goodness!
How'd you like to
Where's
pitch
Todd
for that
Police
group,
when
Doug?
that'd be it's like pitching in professional baseball. I mean, everybody fields their position well. Dickinson has been amazing. Some of the plays that he makes just makes look really easy. That are not. The same thing could go for Milam and Braswell. So they have all been spectacular. But Charlie, wow, what a find there! I didn't realize 4 errors. That's almost unheard of. For an entire SEC season. Jeez,
Charlie, I'm going to add in there. I was looking at all the numbers and everything going in. There's no errors this weekend. We didn't make an error.
Yeah,
amazing. An SEC weekend, not one error anywhere on the field.
wow.
The thing is, Doug, and you can appreciate this as well. I think you have to look at our team, and really the most consistent. I think the rock in the postseason is going to be throw the ball over the plate and let the infield and let the fielders work for you. That's really the strength of the team. So like this weekend, we struck out much more than we walked. We had our walks down. We didn't have any of those 9 walk games or 7 walk games that kind of blow it out of proportion. If we can keep the walks down, and even if we cut down the strikeouts and force them to hit it more, go to your strength. That defense is the best defense I've ever seen at LSU. And Doug, you may agree with me on that. And we have some pretty good players. But again, they made no errors all weekend on a grass field. Remember, that's a factor now too, grass fields. Although they're all well manicured. I mean, it's not like they were playing on turf and it was easy.
Well, they made no error on a grass field, and it's just that's remarkable what they've done. And look, find me a national championship team that has had a problem with throwing strikes. I mean, Cano, you said the key coming down the home stretch is throwing strikes. That would be the case for every team. Is it 64 teams that are in the tournament at the end?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be the case for everyone. If you want to get to Omaha, Nebraska and win in Omaha, Nebraska, number one, you have to throw the ball over the plate. The margin for error is too thin once the competition continues to get better and better to be given free passes. So I couldn't agree more, Keno, but that's not an LSU thing. That's just a baseball thing. And as far as Jared Jones, the first part of that question, Charlie, or maybe that was the question before this. I think it's such a cliche that you hear all the time, especially baseball guys like Cano and I say, where you hear something like that, like, wow, Jared Jones is 2 for his last 14 or whatever it is. And a baseball guy would kind of shrug it off and say, that's baseball. And it's such a cliche. And I wish there was more depth to that answer. But sometimes in this sport, because of all the failure and all the weird anomalies that can happen statistically, sometimes there's really no other justification except for it's really just a hard sport, and sometimes even the best players in the world have trouble playing it.
All right, guys, the regular season is over. They handed out some hardware today, so let's say congratulations. First team All-SEC, Cade Anderson, one of 4 starting pitchers on that team. Zach Cowan, one of 3 relief pitchers on that team. Second team All-SEC for Jared Jones at first base, Daniel Dickinson at second, Derek Curiel in the outfield, and Anthony Ianson, one of 4 starting pitchers on the second team. Freshman All-SEC team, Curiel along with Kason Evans makes that team, and the all defensive team. How about this, guys? Okay, we just finished giving the defensive the best defense we've ever seen. You know, none of those guys made the doggone all defensive team in the SEC. Cade Anderson did, though. Cade Anderson did, but none of those guys, second, third, and short, 4 errors in 30 games. None of them made the all defensive team. So
That's crazy.
I'm gonna have to have somebody explain that one to me.
Who's the freshman of the year?
The freshman of the year, hang on just a second, was Dylan Volantis, the closer at Texas.
Okay.
I get that one. That's okay.
The player of the year was Wahiwa Aloy, the shortstop from Arkansas. Pitcher of the year was Liam Doyle. Look, that guy's great. I could have given it to Anderson too, but that guy's great. I got no problem with that. And Jim Schlossnagle won Coach of the Year. And I got no problem with that either. You come in as a first-year guy. I know he didn't walk into a talentless program over there, but he did walk in and had to get everything straight, for his first year, get the guys on the same page with him and walk into this conference and win it by 2 games. I got no problem with Schloss getting that award.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But if we're going to mention Schloss, we got to give a special shout out to our boy Nolan Kane.
Well, I not only would I give a shout out to Nolan Kane, I could be Nolan Kane's agent right now, because I think with the season coming to an end here next week for everybody, when the tournaments wrap up, for those that are not going on to the NCAAs, there are going to be some job openings, and I think Mr. Kane's phone's going to be ringing a little bit here in the next week. So yeah,
you think absolutely. This is the year, huh, Charlie?
I don't know, Doug. I know he's had offers. I know that he's also. And I don't want to speak for Nolan because I haven't talked to him since before the season started, but I know him well enough from the past that he wants the right job. You know, he's done yeoman's work. He's been the lead assistant at LSU, at Texas A&M, and now at Texas. Man, that's about as good of and he's worked for Paul Maneri. He's worked for Jim Schlossnagle. Man, that's a master's
strongest
degree.
Resumes. Yeah, it's one of the strongest resumes out there.
As an assistant coach, you can't do any better than that. So I think he's ready to be a head coach, and I think if the right situation comes along, he'll take it. But I also think he's not going to rush it just to say I'm a head coach and go into a situation that he's not comfortable with. So I hope this is the year. You know, Nolan's friends with all of us, and I certainly wish him the best. I know you guys do too. So yeah. if it's this year, great. If it's not, Nolan will pick the best spot for him, and he's going to be successful. He's worked too hard.
Well, when you throw out that resume,
whoever picks him up is going to get a superstar coach and a superstar human being. I mean, I agree. That's a fact.
And I'm going to throw this in. He's got a superstar wife, which is big, because Kristen knows what's going on. She played ball and she coached.
There's no question. As much as we like him, we probably like her more because we've all worked with her too, and
that's a no-brainer.
She gets things done. There's no doubt. Okay, LSU will play the second game on Friday, somewhere in the vicinity of 6:30. It'll be Texas A&M, Mississippi State, or Auburn. It's a single elimination tournament. A week from today, Memorial Day, will be Selection Monday. We'll find out who's coming to Baton Rouge. LSU's definitely hosting in the first round. We feel like there'll be a top 8 national seed as well. For Doug Thompson, for Dan Canevari, I'm Charles Hanagriff saying thank you. And this has been the Handycast for Monday, May the 19th.